Oh, it looks like I am here. Okay. Thanks, Twitch Stream Manager, for not showing me that. Okay. So I don't know what I want to stream today, so I picked this game because it's short. That's the long and the short of it. So let's go. It's probably funny. I assume it is because who made it? Nope. Let's put it over there. All right. You can hear me, right? Yeah, you can hear me. Chapters select. I can select the intro or just begin the game. Let's do that. This does look like a beginner's guide.
Hi there. Thank you very much for playing The Beginner's Guide. My name is Davey Reedon. I wrote The Stanley Parable, and while that game tells a pretty absurd story, today I'm going to tell you about a series of events that happened between 2008 and 2011. We're going to look at the games made by a friend of mine named Coda. Now, these games mean a lot to me. I met Coda in early 2009 at a time when I was really struggling with some personal stuff, and his work pointed me in a very powerful direction. I found it to be a good reference point for the kinds of creative works that I wanted to make. So just to start you off, this is, I think, the first game he ever made. It's a level for Counter-Strike. You can walk around here, by the way. And mostly it's just Coda learning the basics of building a 3D environment. But what I like is that even though he starts from the simple aesthetic of a desert town, he then scatters these colorful abstract blobs and impossible floating crates around the level. And of course, it destroys the illusion that this actually is a desert town, and instead this level becomes a kind of calling card from its creator. It's like a reminder that this video game was constructed by a real person. And it kind of makes you wonder, what was going through his head as he was building this? This is what I like about all of Coda's games. I mean, not that they're all fascinating as games, but that they are all going to give us access to their creator. I want us to see past the games themselves. I want to get to know who this human being really is. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. So, it's 2008, Coda starts making these games, and he never releases any of them. He doesn't put them onto the internet, he just makes them and then immediately abandons them, and they sit on his computer forever. And I think he really understood this image of himself as a recluse. At one point, he jokingly renamed his computer's recycling bin to Important Games Folder. So, you know, this was just how he worked. He tended to crank them out one after the other without even really pausing to try to understand what he had just made, until suddenly one day, he just stopped. In 2011, that was it. He made his last game, and then he hasn't made another one since. And that's why I've taken this opportunity to gather all of his work together, is because I find his games powerful and interesting, and I'd like this collection to reach him, to maybe encourage him to start creating again. And if the people like you who play this also happen to find his work interesting, then I'm sure it'll just send that much stronger of a message of encouragement to Coda. So thanks for joining me on this. If you have a particular interpretation that I haven't mentioned here, or if you just need to get in touch, you can email me at daveywreden@gmail.com. Okay, that's about it for introduction. Let's take a look at Coda's first proper game. As each game is loading, I'll show you the date that it was completed. This first one was made in November 2008.
Warning. Whisper machine active. Shift destruction imminent.
This game is called Escape from Whisper, and it's one of the more generic games you'll see from Coda.
Training hull breached. Hostile alien life forms inbound.
It kinda looks like this game was abandoned mid-development. For instance, you have this gun, which you'd think would indicate that there are supposed to be monsters or enemies somewhere, but then clearly there are no enemies anywhere. You can't even reload the gun when you run out of bullets. But ultimately we don't really know. Maybe Coda thought that actually it was complete the way that it is. And I think that we should talk about his games for what they are, rather than for what they're not.
Enemy force neutralized. Begin ship evacuation.
I love how you can see the bottom of the universe from this room.
And the doors just kind of open for you as you get to them. I like, leaving my mark.
Apparently, the space station has a labyrinth on it. Sure, I don't know. There's really no reason for it that I've ever been able to discern, so in the interest of time, I'm just gonna skip you on past it.
Wait. Okay, well,
Or, if you'd really like to solve the labyrinth, you're welcome to do that too.
ha. Oh. Am I here? What is it? I solved it. Now I have to resolve it. I thought that was the way I went before. Oh well. I was wondering if the game would do some kind of reward for... Wonder if the beginner's guide game would reward me in some way. Which I guess him telling me that I could solve it again is about all there is. Oh no, I would have sworn that's where I came from. They changed the map. That's funny. I guess I can just do the left-hand rule here. Now that I'm completely lost. Alright, here we go.
Okay, this is the part that's interesting. The game has this narrative about the whisper machine and how it has to be turned off, and then you get to the engine room.
Hey, you there, in the engine room. You could save us all. That beam is powering the whisper machine. We could disrupt it by introducing a great enough heat signature. If your body could stop the beam. It's so much to ask, but for all of our lives, would you do it? Could you give yourself?
What does she take me for? Well, I'm trapped in this room, so there's no point to life anyway. Hey, Mitchie.
Let me pause here for a second. What you just experienced, stepping into the beam and then dying, is probably what Coda had initially intended when he was developing this level. But when he first compiles and plays it, something goes wrong. There's a bug somewhere. And this is what happens instead.
Oh, the maze.
The beam causes you to start floating. And this is an important moment for him. Because yes, this is technically a glitch, but Coda identifies something human about it. Like how small it makes you feel in the face of this larger chaotic system.
How your experience
Or
might
this
actually
floating
be.
could be the afterlife, a peaceful place, juxtaposed against all of the hysteria that you've just had to traverse. I don't even know. I have no idea what he was thinking, but what's clear is that after making this, something lodges itself in his brain. He wants to do more of these really weird and experimental designs. So he stops work on this and moves on to a stream of tiny little games that go in all sorts of directions. Let's go ahead and take a look at the first game he made after leaving this one behind.
I can't move. Wait.
Yep, in this game you can only walk backwards.
Oh no. The past was behind her. Oh no. I remember I did some witness challenges this way. You could only move backwards.
So it's a short and relatively minimalist experiment combining motion and narrative. It is less advanced than the previous game, but actually it seems to be more focused, more complete. Code is trying to give it a unique voice rather than simply basing it on a pre-existing trope.
When she stops and looks, it becomes clearer. I guess I could have been reading those words out loud. Sure. Since I was thinking more about the navigation, I actually want to look at all the words again anyway. Hey, Moss. The past was behind her, right? Is what fixed? It said the chat was broken. Okay, yeah, I see. Why does the future keep changing? But the future cannot be seen. Okay. Ugh, this is annoying. When she stops and looks, it becomes clearer. Oh, I see. That one's really blurry. But if the future is always behind her, how will she find the strength to confront it?
It's a short little thought, it says what it wants to say, and then it ends. Didn't need anything more than that. Which to me is why it works, because it gets out quick. Okay, next one.
No, I remember to turn my VPN off before the stream, but if I load the chat window before I turn off the VPN, then it disconnects or something. It's on my end again. You are now entering the file sorting zone.
And that's it. Okay, the meaning of this game won't be clear just yet. Please be patient with me for a few more games, and I promise you'll see what makes it interesting. Oftentimes, Coda would put bizarre titles like this one at the start of his games. I wish I'd known him at the time that he was making these early games. He would really only talk to me about his work as he was making it. Once he stopped work on a game, that was it. It was dead to him. And I don't agree with that at all, but what are you gonna do? I know it's tempting, but there's actually nothing over here. Sorry.
Well, I got a little extra recording. Even if it's just extra commentary. There is something over here. Of course, there's deliberately no anti-aliasing. Slowing way down. Ugh.
Once you've been slowed to an absolute crawl, the door at the top of the stairs opens. So why, If Coda's not showing these games to anyone, why bother opening the door at all? Well, to show you, I'm modifying the game here so that when you press enter, it'll bring you back up to full speed so you can enter the door for yourself.
I guess that's what I'll do, even though it'd be interesting if there was extra commentary if I fought through the incredibly slow walking. Oh, but I don't think I have the patience for this. It's a finite distance. I can see the top. Yeah, let's go. Oh no, I can't read all these fast enough. Turn it back to the slow speed.
A room that's warm and nice and filled with little ideas for games. Coda would often tell me that he didn't mind if people thought of him as cold or distant. He said that he knew that he was actually a vibrant and compassionate person, but that it takes time to really see that. It can be a very slow climb to get there.
Oh, okay.
Well, this is new for Coda. It's an actual puzzle. Go ahead and see if you can solve it.
There is a jump. There is a button here.
Don't forget that solution, because we're going to see this puzzle again soon. We're gonna see it a lot.
And the 3 dots on the wall. Okay.
So that seems to be it, right? You walk down a corridor, you solve a puzzle, you get to the end. Simple enough. Alright, now I'm going to modify the game again so that when you press enter, it'll remove all of the walls from this room.
Okay. Except that one. Can I fall off?
How about that? There was more to it than we had any way of knowing. I actually find it funny that this game comes after the Stairs game, since they essentially convey the opposite idea. So, in the Stairs game, a dull exterior concealed a rich interior. And then, in this level, a dull interior hides this fantastic outer world. Either way, I think that the point is the same, is that most of the time you don't get to know what you're missing, or even that you're missing anything. That's not your role as a player. So if your role here is not to understand, then what is it?
I think I just saw the other room there. Oh, now we're back here. Okay. You are now exiting.
Aha. So, this, combined with the entering game from earlier, tells us that Coda believes his games are connected somehow. It could even be that the Stairs game and the puzzle game are literally connected in between this and the entering game. There's a bigger picture that all of his games are meant to play a role in, some larger meaning that we won't be able to grasp until we've seen all of them. And once we have, we can step back and start to understand what exactly that bigger picture is.
I guess I won't go wander off and get lost.
Let's talk about video game development for a second. Every video game runs on what's called an engine, which determines what the game can and cannot do. So in other words, the engine is a set of tools for game development. To make all of these games, Coda is using an engine called Source. Like all engines, Source has certain things that it does well, and it has certain things that it does poorly. One of the things that it does very well is boxy linear corridors. That's why so many of Coda's games are set in these large, flat, empty rooms, is just because he's working with what the engine does well. The tools available to the creator shape what kinds of creative work they're going to end up making. You might consider paying attention to the architecture in Coda's games, to notice how they seem to stem from an engine that's very good at producing linear, boxy corridors.
Yeah, so this game is so far meeting up to what my impression of it was, which was it's not really a game, it's like a tour about games. So far, I don't know if it turns into something else, but it's intriguing. And yeah, I've played the Stanley Parable. Actually, I want to load it after this, see if I get my 5-year achievement at better, because it's been 5 years now. What about this one? No. That door opens exclusively to wheelchairs, and I can hear my distinct footsteps. I did it. Was I supposed to do that? He didn't comment on what I did at all. I guess I was. But I can't get to that. Hello? So there is that. Okay, I got kind of turned around there. I thought there was a different but identical looking pathway. I'm hearing something happen behind me, I think. Out of my way. Alright, I'll go into my cage. Why would I go in there?
This prison, funny enough, in Coda's original design, the door stayed shut for a full hour before letting you go. If you don't mind, I think we're gonna skip that. This is something that he and I used to argue about a lot. You know, whether a game ought to actually be playable, whether it means anything if no one can get through it. And I would always defend that, you know, all this work goes into the game, why not make it playable and accessible? And so we just got into heated arguments over it, and there was one time that after one of these conversations, he went home, and a day or two later, he sent me a zip file entitled Playable Games that was full of hundreds of individual games, each of which was just an empty box that you walked around in and nothing else. Believe me, I played every single one of those just to find out if there was like a gag hidden somewhere. There wasn't.
I can understand how this. I mean, I definitely get the Stanley Parable vibes from this. A game about games and stories, being linear, being free, being able to do what you want to do versus what the programmer wanted you to do. Oh, this thing
It's
he
the
told me
puzzle
about.
again, with the exact same solution as the last time.
You say it has the same solution, not just the same elements. Okay, I'll take you seriously. You said it has the same solution. I can't get far enough away.
There's still no clear indication of what makes this puzzle so special that Coda is going to return to it over and over. But I promise I'll share with you my interpretation very shortly.
Got a cloud floor down there.
Here, Coda begins using a kind of dialogue system that he fashioned out of the engine's chat capabilities. Use the 1, 2, 3 buttons on your keyboard to respond.
Okay, did you come from up above? I have to answer yes. What was up there? That's the difference. There was a world stamped with whiteness. Yes, there was an enormous prison I spent hours in. Yes, there were these floating colored blocks. Okay, so I don't know. I guess I don't get to see everything in this game. I gotta choose one. Unless they somehow either allow me to answer all three or they lead to the same place and that's made clear. Went with 3. Did you have to get through a puzzle with 2 doors and switches? I guess 2 is an answer where you're not denying the doors and switches, but you're just denying that it is a puzzle. I'm gonna do the naive answer. Yes, that's what I did. I'm hearing guns being loaded. I don't remember how to solve it. I didn't solve it. You don't want to go over there. So I can't tell him how to solve it. Went with 3. Won't let me up there. It looks like this would open, but I don't know. I guess just a fireplace or something? Oh, here they are again. With 3 more people. I guess those rotating cubes are just mimicking the states in the coding.
And so we make one last descent down to the final floor of the level.
Yes, thank you. I guess I wouldn't have known that it was final.
It's a lamppost. Okay, I can't tell you quite why, but for some reason, Coda fixates on this lamppost. It's going to appear at the end of every single one of his games from here on out. I'll tell you what I think. I think that up to this point, you know, he's been making really strange and abstract games with no clear purpose, and maybe you can only float around in that headspace for so long. Because now he wants something to hold on to. He wants a reference point. He wants the work to be leading to something. He wants a destination, which is what this lamppost is. It's a destination. We're gonna see it in the work as well. His games are just gonna become a lot more cohesive, a lot more fully developed, with more of a clear idea behind them. And as we go, that idea will get clearer and clearer and clearer.
Okay. So there's a note. Oh, it's like nice room not. This is like those QR codes in the Talos Principle that I've been
So first
playing
off,
a lot
I'm
lately.
sure you can deduce this, but this game is not connected to the internet. All of the notes that you're gonna see have been written by Coda. This was actually the first game of his that I ever played. This was shortly after I met him at a weekend game jam in Sacramento, where I grew up. I saw him working on this very level, and it was just so different from anything that anyone else was doing. So right away I was like, I have to be friends with this person. In retrospect, I think I was probably a bit too pushy trying to get his attention. I was over enthusiastic. But he was very gracious about it and very patient with me. And I cooled off eventually. Oh, feel free to skip over any of these notes if they're not doing anything for you. Nothing extra is gonna happen if you read all of them. Either way, to me they convey a sense of loneliness. I see this person who's filled with thoughts and feelings and beliefs and has no way to express them except as scattered and unheard voices in a game that wasn't meant to be played. But it's ironic, isn't it? That in playing this game and seeing how alone Coda often felt, that we get to know him better and actually kind of connect with him. And I have to be honest with you, this idea is really seductive to me. That I could just play someone's game and see the voices in their head and get to know them better and have to do less of the messy in-person socializing. I could just get to know you through your work. I think this is why I always liked Coda's games so much, is because it felt like they let me have that connection. I felt as though he was inviting me personally into his world. And then I feel less lonely too.
I must go now to do that. There are too many messages in this area. Well, I guess I don't have to read all of them, and nothing will happen if I don't. Or if I do. Do I go that way? Do I go down here? What do I do? I can't fall off. What the shit is this cavern? Boring. So Homer Simpson's been here. I guess it's that over there. Also that, wow. Alright, thank you for that input. I actually kind of do too. Nothing here, go back, don't listen to that guy. Alright, there is nothing here, looks like. It can still go. Someday I will meet the person who made this. Alright, I think I've had my fill on these comments. I'll just pick up the ones that I walk into as I'm going where I'm going. Is this the main area again? Did I start up there and there were different ways to get here, I think? Let's talk about this painting here. Yeah, a couple of them are saying it looks better from far away. I don't know. I didn't pay attention when I was far away. I think I was up there before. I don't know.
At the end of this level, we're going to see the puzzle again. And here, I'll tell you what I think the puzzle means. Each of these games represents an idea that was on Coda's mind at the time that he was making it. And the puzzle is a way of closing the door on a previous chapter of his life before moving on to the next one.
Yeah, because you need to close that door to access the lever. The lever doesn't open the first door, it opens the second door. Here's where all the people ended up, I guess.
In each of his games, after exploring a theme that, he might find difficult, Coda can then place this puzzle that he knows has a reliable solution, he understands exactly how it works, and so it gives him a simple mechanism for moving on. because there's this dark area between the doors, a space between spaces, before you move on, you get to pause. Just for a moment, a few seconds to reflect on and let go of the events that led you here. To step back and connect the pieces together. To grasp at that elusive bigger picture. Okay, this one is tough. It's gonna kind of just spin its own wheels for a few minutes. Hang with it.
Hold on a second. I actually do have to go to the bathroom. Be right back. I think I did it in the wrong order. Plugged in the microphone, then gave a nice big cough. I was supposed to cough first, then go and plug the mic in. Whatever. I'm all disorganized today. All right. Sorry about that. Okay, so the beginner's guide. Yes, it's made by the Stanley Parable people. It's just like a meta commentary about game design, effectively. Apparently, it's really short, very linear. It's not really like solving things. It's really just walking through commentary. It seems like. So this new section, what did they say? It said porn stars die too. That's what the section was called, and it said it was tough. You have to let the game do its thing for a few minutes, something like that. Ooh. Okay. I do still have a jump ability. It's like it's one of those pig roasting, whatever those things are called. What is that? There's a name for it. I don't know what it is.
See, like, this is it. The whole game. And there's nothing that's particularly interesting about it. You just walk to the end of a hallway.
That up there.
Except, for some reason, Coda gets really fixated on this prison that has all of this modern furniture. And I don't know why, but he decides he needs to revisit this prison. He's gonna start over, use the same assets, turn it into something else. Okay, cool. Here's version 2.
It's... What furniture ought to go in the center of the room? You don't put the TV in the center of the room. Yeah, he explained this earlier. It's actually a friend of his that would just like make these very simplistic games and then stop. And we're playing all of them. But they would always have like these deeper meanings or something. What? So he's just ignoring my options.
There's a bit more to this one, but still, it's not really communicating anything. It's kind of just weird for weirdness' sake. So, okay, he throws it out and starts over. This time he comes at the prison idea from a different direction.
So the prison there was that my choices didn't make a difference? Hello, please walk forward. Okay. Got those 3 dots there. Probably that one, not this one. Touch the shelves. Okay. Maybe you should try to do it wrong and see what happens. Of course, they may count wrong as right, and I don't know.
And of course, now the table is gone and you can't begin the chain of events to escape.
Very nice.
Here's a version where there are no bars, but you can't actually get to the well. And then a version where the inside of the prison is the outside and the outside is the inside. Let me just blink you real quick through a few more of these. I mean, he really unloaded on this prison idea. There's nearly a dozen of them. Personally, I think it's awful to watch this, to see a person basically unraveling through their work. And for what? Like, at what point do you just go, maybe there are game ideas other than this prison that I could be working on? But Coda doesn't have that voice telling you to stop, that particular mechanism of defense against yourself. Without it, you just spiral. And so he keeps going and going and going and going and going, and then he hits on something. And he likes it. And that's it. He's done. He stops making prisons. This is the very last version of the prison game that he created. And the reason I think it works is that the prison is not actually in it.
But what about the porn star? You never saw them. This is indeed a very strange game, which is a set of very strange games. I guess I go into this phone booth. I have no control over the viewing angle here.
It's a conversation. And so this is what Coda wants, is to be able to talk to someone, to share what's on his mind, and to get some good advice from someone who knows. But the irony is that even in this scenario, you're still talking to yourself. You know, all of these games so far are Coda talking to himself.
Go with 2.
I can see why he considers this a fitting conclusion to the prison games. After all of the obsession and frustration, just to be told by someone you can trust that things are going to be okay. Wouldn't that be nice? So what would it look like if Coda wanted to make a game about talking to someone other than himself?
This looks like the double door frame right there. I apologize for walking
to me,
slow.
This environment is meant to represent Coda's puzzle, with the 2 doors on either side and a dark transitional space between.
You can go in there. What? But there's another one of those up there. I don't know. I guess I'll go in here.
You'll notice that the quality of the art is a step up from previous games, including this new and improved chat system, which he started using from this point on. From here on out, he begins putting much more effort into the visual polish of his work, and this particular game took 2 months to create as a result.
I guess I should have gone up there first to the other area. I'm curious about it. Oh well. While you're in there, already left. Well, now all of a sudden I end up doing it all by myself.
After the intense set of prison games,
What?
this house cleaning level almost feels like cleansing. It's the moment after a particularly difficult or traumatic experience where you just need to let it sit and digest inside of you, and eventually cohere into something meaningful. I know that Coda really liked this game. Of all of his work, actually, this was the only one that he called me up to ask me to come over and look at it. This was during a period of a few months where he was like grossly happy all the time, just walked around with a constant smile on his face.
How did that happen?
I'm glad he made this. I'm glad he found some peace. But, of course, it can't last. The music stops, your companion is gone, it's time to leave. The door at the top of the hill is now open as well. Again, you can't stay in the dark space for too long. You just can't. You have to keep moving. It's how you stay alive.
What? Does something happen if I stay out here? In the darkest space possible. What is the meaning of that comment? Probably are all lots of, well, I don't know if there are lots of little secrets, but probably a few. Let's try to move on, I guess. Lamppost
Which is
again.
the whole point of the puzzle doors, right? That sooner or later you have to pick up and move. I really thought that was the point of it. This one gets a bit goofy.
I'm sitting down. I'm a different person now, or I just moved instantaneously.
About halfway through the game, the perspective shifts.
I was wondering if we would be the lecturer.
And you play as the teacher. And suddenly, you discover that your teacher is just as bigoted and afraid as you are. Oh, and also you can move around the classroom now.
There's the lamppost right there. So what? I picked gray options. I guess I can try the yellow options. You can walk around this part of the classroom. You can't go up the stairs.
I fell pretty hard for this one. I feel like it's one of the most relatable experiences that you can have. To assume that some other person is perfect and totally fulfilled in every way, and completely miss all of the little flaws that make them painfully human. I think about this game a lot these days. This one took a lot longer than all the others for Coda to make. It was 4 months between this and the last one. That's twice as long as it took him to make any other game before this, and it's not like it's particularly complex, so I remember I found that a little strange at the time.
So I can walk out on stage, or I can look at the backstage here. This game is not really about exploration, though. Oh. If that's... I mean, if that's on my mind, then nothing else is. No, no, no. Can I bounce from one to another? Oh! Wonder what the other dialogue options were if there was something correct about them. Oh, here's the lamppost already. Can I get past this? No. What? I'm at the lamppost, but I guess I can walk back here and see what happens.
The game ends with this eerie premonition of what's going to happen next in Coda's life. The solution to social anxiety, to fears of having to perform and having to chase success, the answer for Coda is to withdraw, to hide himself away. Which is what leads to scenarios like the stairs that slowed you down several games ago, where it just becomes harder and harder to access Coda's inner landscape because he keeps retreating. He just keeps backing away from possible connections to anyone other than himself. And to be honest, I didn't consider it very healthy when I first played this game. You know, it looked to me like he was trying to justify the idea of just disconnecting yourself from the world. And that wasn't what I wanted for him or for his games. Because I feel like a lot of his games are inviting me to connect with this person, to bring him closer. But what can you do? After this, Coda went off and took another 5 months to make a new game.
To play this game properly, you must keep your eyes closed. Not happening, thanks. We're gonna crash here. Reset.
You should probably open your eyes if you haven't already. It's pretty much impossible to solve otherwise. And there is a solution, by the way.
Oh. I actually pressed the wrong one. I meant to press 2. Yep. 2 seems like the right thing. Did they say anything? Okay. So I think it's the person you need to talk to, that one. It's only that one upstairs. Oh, there are more people here though. Alright, I guess we'll just go do the answer now.
Alright, let me explain how you're supposed to do this. On either side of the room are elevators, which go up to an upper level. You have to go up, walk over to the person who's standing there, and then select dialogue option number 2.
Yeah, I caught that.
Like I said, I was getting concerned. First off, he's never been this explicit in his work about exactly what he's thinking. So where's that coming from? But then even weirder, his work has potentially stopped being an outlet for him. Not like he's having trouble iterating on ideas, but he literally just can't think of new ideas anymore. And in person, he was being a lot more distant than usual. Like, you know how sometimes a person will just deflect anything that you say in order to keep themselves disconnected all the time? It was that kind of thing. Here was the point in my relationship with Coda where I really started to wonder if he needed my help in some way.
Well, he's explicitly said he's out of ideas. What if I try something else first? Were you gonna get a crash and have to do this again? Let's see. Let's try this one. I could see all 3 of those, yeah.
His games are going to get more desperate from here on out. After this game, it's almost 6 months before he finishes something new.
December 2010. He did say 2008 to 2011. Probably a metaphorical machine.
If the last game featured Coda talking explicitly about his creative frustrations, this one turns it up to 11. Now, put yourself in my shoes playing this. Here's a friend whose work is exhibiting signs of struggle, frustration, anxiety, depression, even. And yet, still, he keeps making games. He keeps throwing himself into the grinder even when he clearly doesn't have the energy for it anymore. Why? What is it for? Because from my perspective at the time and just what I knew of him, this was a result of how isolated he was. He was in his own little bubble, just sitting at his computer all day, not really showing these games to anyone, not releasing them onto the internet, and so he didn't have anyone outside of himself to connect with. He had no outlet to ground himself on. You can't talk yourself out of loneliness. It doesn't work that way. You can't be the one writing both the questions and the answers. Then there's no movement. Then there's no circulation. If all of your anxieties are being channeled into your work, then if the work ever fails, you have no backup and you're just going to crash.
Am I gonna fall? I think those were the specific answers I chose. What is that?
Seeing this game at the time that he made it, it looked really unhealthy to me. I was watching him do this to himself, and I hated it. I hated seeing him so trapped. It's like, video games are not worth this amount of suffering.
It's hard to see the text here. TV with surround sound. That's what I
really
said.
Cared about. And I used to get so much joy out of seeing him create. For him to suddenly become angry and frustrated like this, it was the worst thing for me. I don't know. This is what I felt.
That's not what I said.
I don't know how else to explain
I don't think. At least that's not what I meant to say.
I wanted it to stop more than anything. I had never felt so rotten. I needed more than I had ever needed anything for this to stop.
I meant to ask for the open ceiling, but I may have pressed the wrong button. The ceiling light. Oh, the person I talked to on the phone? There's someone in there.
But it didn't stop. After finishing this one, Coda takes another 7 months and comes up with a new game.
Is this a real person?
And of course, it's the machine.
Not the best dialogue choice. I said I would be brutal, though. Oh, we're out here again. Sort of. It's different. That again. Ah. Not the floor, though. So this gun actually has an impact. So everything's kind of going full circle, I guess. I don't know how much of this I need to clear out.
So now the work is becoming self-destructive.
Yep.
And I'll tell you, at the time that I first played this game, shortly after he made it, here's what I'm thinking to myself. I'm thinking that Code is stuck in his own head, and that it's having a very negative effect on him, and that all he needs to do is just start showing his work to people, to get some actual feedback on his games. It might get him out of isolation. And so, as I'm thinking this, I realize that I could be the one to initiate it. Because it would never occur to Coda to start actively soliciting feedback, so what if I did it for it? If he could see the difference it would make to have more actual conversations with other human beings, would that bring him out of his mental spiral? Would it give him confidence in himself? Would it bring meaning back into his work? So I started showing Coda's work to people. I took this one, and the islands which you just played, the theater, the notes, the house cleaning game, and some of the prison escape games. I brought them to people that I knew and trusted. I asked their opinions. And the great part is that they really loved his games. You know, the point of it all was just to give him some external reference point, but they genuinely loved his work. There was nothing for him to be afraid of.
So I can't move. I can't pan. I have no other dialogue options. All I can think to do is shoot. So I guess we'll see what happens when I click.
Can you see why I felt like this was the right thing to do? Because it's the thing that I always feel like I need, to be told that my work is good, that I am good. When someone really connects with a thing that I've made, when they see themselves purely in my work, there's nothing that feels better. And I got to give that very same feeling to my friend. I did something... I really felt like I'd done something good, like I was a good person. I felt like there was a friend who was in trouble and was unhappy and maybe didn't like themselves, and I could fix it. If I could give him this gift, maybe I could fix the problem. When they told me how much they enjoyed his games, it was the best feeling. It was the absolute best feeling. It made me feel so happy. So beautifully, beautifully happy. So anyway, Coda finishes this game, and then really he just kind of takes off for a while. So this is June of 2011, and I didn't hear anything from him for several weeks, I guess. And so out of nowhere, one day I get an email, and it's got a private link to a new game of Coda's. This one is called The Tower, and to my knowledge, it's the last game that Coda ever made. So let's take a look.
Okay. Some previously used assets.
And this is where I have trouble saying anything meaningful about Coda's work. Because more than anything else, the tower just feels distant. It feels like it's trying to distance itself from the world. It's a very cold game. This room actually has a maze in it. except that all the walls of the maze are invisible. And then every time you touch one of the walls, there's this awful flashing and noise, so the experience is really miserable. The game goes beyond not being meant to be played, it actually seems to despise the player for trying to play it at all. But I do want to show you the rest of the levels, so when you're ready to continue, press enter and I'll put a bridge over the maze.
Is there an actual maze that is navigable? I actually was thinking he would highlight the maze and you walk through it. You can walk it if you could look at it from above and...
And to be fair, it's not like this is the first game that's needed some modification to be playable. Like the house cleaning game. You know, that one used to actually loop the cleaning chores and you just cleaned a house forever. I had to cut it off so that you could exit the house and the game would actually end. But that game had an idea that it was actually trying to communicate. What's the deeper idea behind the invisible maze?
What is this?
The only way past this challenge is to randomly guess the 6-digit code. Like the invisible maze, it's frustrating to me, because it's the opposite of everything else that Coda has made. It doesn't encourage thought or engagement. It doesn't ask anything of me, except a lot of my time. If I could have reached him during this time, then maybe I could have asked him, but I couldn't. I still don't really understand why this is here. I'll put the code on the ground for you here, though, so that we can move on.
I got 2 of those digits right. Gotta loop this one all the way around though. Is that random? It's got 3 ones in it. No, 15, 16, 17. It doesn't look random. Ah! Clicked too many times. I should go to Vegas.
The switch to open this door is actually on the other side of the door, meaning that it's literally impossible to solve from this side. So even if you somehow brute forced your way through the first 2 challenges, and you got to this point, there's actually just no way to progress. And it's scary for me, the idea of Coda cutting himself off entirely.
He doesn't
Just
want
saying,
you to solve them.
You know, that's it, that's the end of the conversation, not giving me any way to fix the problem. I feel like a failure, I guess, when I can't fix the problem. But I can open this door for you, so let me do that.
That seems to be the meaning of the game, is that he doesn't want you to be able to solve them. This game is making me afraid to test the clipping there. Yeah, there you go.
Was I a failure for not understanding this game? I mean, I don't know why I would be. It's not like everything needs to have a solution, but I feel it somehow. I feel like I failed, and I don't understand why. I remember, it's June of 2011, I'm playing this for the very first time, and as I'm playing, I'm thinking to myself, I don't know this person. I have no idea who this person is. It wasn't the guy I knew, it wasn't my friend. I had come to so many conclusions from looking at all of his work up to this point, and then suddenly none of them... I had been trying to, though. That was the thing. For years, I was trying to get to know him, to understand who he actually was and what he stood for. I asked him so many times to please just tell me what his games mean to him. I asked him please to tell me what the 3 dots mean. And he wouldn't.
I think that's what's going on. I think that's the whole meaning of this game, is that he doesn't want people to figure it out. He doesn't want you to climb the
I just
tower.
felt so strongly that if I could have connected with him, that if I could have somehow made his work my own, that I would finally be once and for all happy. It was that I needed to see myself in someone else. I needed to be someone other than me. But he stopped and left. And it felt somehow like I had failed. Where did I screw up?
Okay, they do have clipping.
I'm the reason that you stopped making games, aren't I? It's because of what I did. I poisoned it for you. I don't think I ever told you this, but when I took your work and I was showing it to people, it actually felt... it felt as though I were responsible for something important and valuable. And the people who played them, they treated me like I was important. They really listened and cared about what I had to say. Even though I was showing your work, I felt good about myself. Finally. For a moment, while I had that, I liked myself.
Oh, I didn't catch that. It was the narrator guy that's adding the lamppost?
And then you stopped, and I didn't have anything left to show people. I just had to be with myself. And as soon as that happened, there was no feeling at all. Nothing. Less than nothing. What does that mean?
Ouch. Okay, yeah, you're definitely not friends when they start talking like this.
I'm afraid that I did something really stupid because I don't like myself.
See, the first time I played this, the door actually shut on its own when I walked far enough away from it.
That's why I'm releasing this collection of your work, is because I haven't been able to find any other way to reach you. I've tried everything. And so a part of me has hope that if I put this compilation out into the world, and if I put my name on it, that maybe enough people will play it so that it'll find its way to you, so that I can tell you that I'm sorry. I know I screwed up. If I apologize to you truly and deeply, will you start making games again? Please, I need to feel okay with myself again. And I always felt okay as long as I had your work to see myself in. I mean, is something wrong with me? Because I know that I did an awful thing, and I'm doing it again right now. Like, I'm showing people your work, but I can't stop myself from doing it. That's how badly I need to feel something again, like I'm an addict. There has to be something wrong with me. Can I apologize? What if I tell you I was wrong? Will that work? Will that fix it? I don't know. I don't think it will, but there's nothing else that I can do. Just tell me what you want. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please, start making games again. Please help me. Please give me some of whatever it is that makes you complete. I want whatever that wholeness is that you just summoned out of nothing and you put into your work. You were complete in some way that I never was. And I want to know I want to know how to be a good person. I want to know how not to hate myself. Please. I'm fading, and all I want is to know that I'm going to be okay.
It was like Myst. You start off looking at the ceiling. You link back to Myst Island. Here's some nicer artwork.
More love, more praise, more people telling me that I'm good. Always more. It's like a disease.
I guess I can just board the train. Ready to go wherever.
Solution.
What?
I guess if someone had told me ahead of time that he just really enjoyed making prison games, maybe I wouldn't have thought he was so desperate. I wouldn't have told so many people that he was depressed. Maybe he just likes making prisons.
Well, there's a prison right there. There's no way up there.
Even now, the disease is telling me to stop. Don't show people what a shitty person you are. They'll hate you.
Uh-oh, here we go.
If I knew that my life depended on finding something to be driven by other than validation, what would that even be? It's strange, but the thought of not being driven by external validation is unthinkable. Like, I actually cannot conceive of what that would be like.
Oh, that's interesting.
What now? think I need to go. And I'm sorry, because I know that I said that I would be here and I would walk you through this, but I'm starting to feel like I have a lot of work to do. I have a lot that I need to make up for, and so I'm just gonna... Okay.
Is that it? Is he gone? We on our own? Oh look, it's the Talos Principal prototype. I actually have not played I do not have the actual prototype DLC. It just looked like something very primitive for it. Do I jump in there? Is that what I'm supposed to do? What's over here? Alright, off we go. Do I have a choice here? Is there like a limited time I can slip through there, or does it stop? That's what I figured it would do, but I wasn't sure. Ah, here we are once again. Sort of. Hi, Matthew. Yeah, the beam. That's a great way to go full circle. See if this makes us go float upwards. Yeah, here we go. Fly mode. There's nothing up here. Oh, there it is. Is that it? Is that the whole thing? Turn this up. There, now you can see me again.
Turn back from this cave. You said, let me prove that I'm brave. Let me
looks like I just finished this one. Yeah, I did it all in one stream. Although some people were saying that the Selenitic Maze does randomize. I don't know. It didn't for me, so I don't know what's going on there. Yeah, okay, there's the lamppost. I get it now. This game, well, it's not really a game. It's more of an interactive commentary something. I don't know exactly what to call it. But it's weird. It seems to kind of strike the exact note I would have expected, except with less humor. I would have expected some humor in it, but there was no humor in it. That left me feeling kind of depressed. Well, you can see in my run, I hit randomized, but my maze was not randomized. So if it was supposed to be, either there's a bug or I was exceedingly lucky. And just so happened all the die rolls went in the direction of, which I guess you could have like not like randomly generated mazes, but like a library of 15 mazes and it picks from one of those. That actually wouldn't be too hard. But doesn't matter. I had the original maze, at least in terms of its correct paths. Somebody even said maybe just the wrong paths are randomized, which you're not even going to feel that if you solve it with the sounds. Well, that's this one. I started to feel to relate to some of the meaning of it in the with regard to content creation in there in the middle there, but then toward the end it kind of went a completely different direction. So I don't know what I think about it. Like, this guy's just happy keeping to himself making prison games and didn't want this nosy guy to publish them to other people or something. I don't know. But then why did he show it to the narrator dude in the first place? I guess just because he bugged him enough? I don't know. What are you doing, cat? All right, well. There are 17 chapters. All right, yeah, I just wanted to have something to start today. Obviously now I'm going to switch to something else. Wasn't sure what. Didn't know who was here, what they wanted to see. I don't know, I kind of got to go to the bathroom again right now. But I'll be right back. I'll figure out what I want to stream next. Hello. What I'm doing right now is I'm just mumbling. I'm just muttering at the screen because I'm installing this Stanley Parable. But I don't know. Let's see what it does here. We'll see if it works or not. I'm not going to play it right now, but let's see. If I go not there, here. Here. See what happens. There. Do you see it? Go outside. Right there. That's what I was going for. You saw it in real time. That is a legitimate 5-year wait of never loading the Stanley Parable. I had one shot. I had one shot to show it live, and that was it, and it worked. Alright, got that done. Should play The Longest Journey. That is on my long list of games I need to play.